Hey friends, Corinne here. I am super excited to be in November because it is our 17th year in business. We're celebrating 17 full years of business in the month of November, which is super exciting. So today I'm just going to share a fun project with you that features one of the sale items for this week in our through the years sale. This week, all of the stamp sets um, that were released in 2010 through 2014 are on sale, 20% off, no code needed, and the discount will just come off in your cart. So I thought it'd be fun to just do a little video. It's been a little while, um, featuring one of these fun stamp sets that's part of the sale this week. So I am using just regular cardstock here to create two backgrounds. I'm just starting out with, it's just white cardstock, nothing fancy. So it really does pick up that color, the liquid that I'm using here, the sprays and the Distress Oxide inks. I am also spraying those with water to kind of activate them a little bit more. And it just creates kind of a muted background. It's not super, loud and obnoxious at this point. I just wanted to get some color on the papers, and I love the way they kind of mix together. Now I'm taking some spray and I'm just I pulled out the spray nozzle and I'm just tapping, the ink onto, directly onto the piece of cardstock. Doing the same thing here with a different color. I believe that was broken china. I think the other one was abandoned coral. And then I do spritz it a little bit so that it spreads out even more. You don't have to do that. That's just, I kind of wanted that look. If you don't do that, it'll be more uniform, more like splatters. My typical go-to splatters, but this time I decided to make them more wet and spread them out. So of course, got to dry in between all these layers. And as I dry, obviously you can see like the paper's curling up, and so I kind of have to reshape it and flatten it back out again. But this is basically the base for both of my card. This is going to be the base for both of my backgrounds. Now I'm grabbing the Texture Tiles 1 stamp set, the grid. There's kind of like a grungy grid on there, and I'm just using my hand, not even using a block, and just tapping that in some ink and just randomly stamping it onto these panels. Of course, got to clean it off in between with my chamois and put it away because, I can make a mess if I don't put things away. Okay, so now this is the stamp set that I'm going to be featuring today. This is a super fun, very adorable stamp set called Sunshine and Flowers. It was illustrated by Diane Zeckman. And I'm first going to use this stamp set in my background. So I'm taking some of those single flowers. Well, right now it's just one single flower, but I will be using some of the other ones. And I'm just randomly stamping those all over these panels. Now, I will tell you, when I say randomly, it really isn't random. I try to make triangles. That's kind of what's pleasing to the eye. You always want to try to make triangles. They don't have to be perfect triangles. They don't have to all be the same uniform spacing and all of that. But it does fill out your paper more if you do this technique where you can kind of see, if you watch closely, that I'm making triangles with those images. So there's, three groups of three. You can kind of connect them in triangles. So now I'm going to take one more of these little elements and do the same thing again with the triangles, trying to keep that theme going. And it is still pretty random. I mean, it looks random, but there is a method to the madness. So this just really fills out the page more. Another thing that I just like to mention when you're doing some kind of a stamping background like this is stamp off the paper. Sometimes people will keep everything within the paper, and you don't want to do that. You want it to look like some of the images are coming off the side, off the edge of the pages. So that's another little tip about making your own pattern paper. So now I'm just using one of the layering stencils from the Diamond Floral layering stencil. And I'm trying to be strategic here and only do blue in one corner and pink in the other so that I'm not having to wash it off immediately, but you can see I just added a couple of little polka dots, you know, a couple spots of polka dots here to my backgrounds. And the final element to this background is going to be some crackle paste. I have been having a lot of fun with crackle paste lately. And this is, you can tell, one of my most favorite stencils. I use it all the time. It's so grungy and gross, but I'm just scraping some crackle paste through this mixed up stencil. And I'm not really doing it. I mean, I'm kind of doing it thickly. It's not thickly, is that a word? It's just, you know, it's just going on there real quick and fast. Obviously I cleaned that all up off screen, and I did set those aside because that crackle paste has to take some time to dry. So now while I wait for that to dry, I'm going to do the focal points for my cards. So I'm taking the bigger cluster of flowers from that Sunshine and Flowers stamp set, and I'm inking that up in, I'm actually using Memento ink because I plan to use my Copic markers. Miracle of miracles, you guys. I don't use my Copics that often anymore, but I am using them today. So I'm using Memento ink because it is a Copic friendly ink. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp in my Misty. I'm stamping 2 of these images because obviously I'm making 2 cards. So sorry about the wobble there. My table is very not sturdy. I'm stamping it a couple of times just to make sure that I have a nice impression. I don't always get the greatest impression with the Memento ink, I'll be honest. So I do have to typically stamp it a couple times to get a nice crisp impression. And so cleaning up my stamps, and now I'm going to grab my Copics and I'm going to get to coloring. So I want to go with colors, obviously, that are going to complement the panels that I've already created. So this image here obviously is going to have your like sort of like coral and oranges and yellows that will go with the one panel. And the other image, once I get to that one, obviously is going to have more of the blues and the greens. So with Copic markers, they are still my favorite. I know there are so many markers out there on the market. I don't know, guys. I'm just a Copic girl. I cannot give up my Copics. I've had them for, oh my goodness, probably close to the entire time I've been in business, honestly. I started my collection so many years ago. I even took a Copic marker class to learn how to teach Copic marker coloring to others, and I've taught taught classes for years and years, and I just love them. I love them. My collection is large, so I've got all the colors pretty much that I will ever need. I buy the refills, and so these really are my favorite alcohol markers. And if you have a different favorite, that is totally cool. They do work very similarly, and so that's great. But I love the blends that you can get. You can see here I'm just using, usually I'll use 3. It's just the way I was taught to use your middle color and then a highlight, well, your main color, I guess you could say, and then your highlight and your shadow color. And so I will use those. I always use 3 colors together to start. And then sometimes I break the rules and I add different colors over top, and that's kind of fun too. So now I'm going to come in with some blue greens, some blues, and color this second image. One of my favorite things with coloring with Copics is just the way they blend so beautifully, and the way that I would say this is the way I was taught to blend them, is to use your lightest color to blend. So when I go in with a darker color, I will blend that out with the lighter color. That tends to work better than the blending brush, the blending marker. Most people, assume, obviously, a blender, being that it's called a blender, that it blends, but it really doesn't. It's more of a pusher. That was another thing that I was taught in my class. It's more of a pusher than a blender, and it kind of is a corrector as well. It's almost like it pushes away the color when you make a mistake. So anyway, that's a whole different class. Obviously, I'm just kind of throwing out some little tips and tricks here with you, but you can see I'm starting with my darker color for some of these, and then I go in with another color, a lighter color that's like a step or two down. Usually when I do my numbers with Copics, when I'm picking colors, the colors are at least 2 or 3 numbers away from each other. So if it was like, let's just say B26, B24, and maybe B21 or something like that, B22. So that's kind of how I choose my colors. And I almost always get, really good results that way. So there they are. There are my lovely little flower clusters. So now I'm going to do something super crazy, and I'm literally going to fussy cut these things. Obviously this is sped up, so it took me a lot longer to cut these out than what you're seeing, but I do really like how they turned out. And this image, because it has that little flourish on the one side there, I'm actually going to cut that out. I'm not going to use that. I'm going to make this just the 3 flowers with the little extra leaf thing there at the bottom. So you'll get to see a little bit better when I'm not moving so quickly. But just fussy cutting this out. Best way to fussy cut is to turn your paper, not your scissors. That's just kind of the way it goes. And I did not cut that other one on screen, obviously, to save you some time. So there they are. And I also die cut off screen 2 panels of white cardstock using the Stitched Rectangles dies. And now I'm just going to take the time, and yes, it does take time, to add foam tape to the backs of these images. Obviously, I did not waste your time by showing you how I did that. I'm just peeling this all off now just so I can show you the little panels. And aren't they so cute? Oh my goodness, I love them. They would make cute little tags just like that. So now I'm going to take the word hugs from the Scripty Thoughts stamp set, and I'm just going to stamp that in the little section there. I have a little space, so I thought a little sentiment would be cute. I will tell you, I goofed. I didn't totally ink up the word hugs, so I did have to fix it with a pen. That happens sometimes, you guys. And there's my beautiful crackle. I wish you could see it. I should have gone a little slower with that and maybe been a little more up close so you could see the crackle, but it looks really, really cool. It all dried nicely, and now I'm just going to put these cards together. More foam tape. It's my jam. I love foam tape. I probably should buy stock in it. I'm gonna pop that up with some foam tape, and it gives that the nice dimension. There it is again, some crackle. Oh, I just love it. And that stencil is just so fun, the mixed up stencil. So add some foam tape to this second panel, and we are going to be ready to roll with the second card. And then all I'm gonna do, you guys, is add these to 2 card bases, and boom, we're gonna have 2 finished cards that are the same basically, but different colors. Just a lot of fun. I don't normally make 2 cards at a time, so this was kind of out of my normal routine, but I thought it would be fun to just experiment with the same techniques but different colors so you could see how those would turn out. So there's my ATG gun. You guys, I heard that they're discontinuing these, and I could cry because I absolutely love mine. So if you have any tips on replacements, please tell me because I need to know. All right, and there they are, my 2 cards. Thanks for watching, you guys. I really appreciate it. And don't forget to go visit our website, creativeworshipstamps.com, and take advantage of the sale. We'll see you next time.